Controlled Chaos here.
And Xavier here.
And today we've decided that we want to talk about the phenomena of Palworld, both the good and the bad. And Palworld has gotten some bad publicity in it, dealing with things like AI and plagiarism and copywriting and things like that. And we're going to talk about that. And you're hearing this not from game players, but two people who are in game development. On the art side, that's me, and then Xavi, who's on the programming side. So first off, Palworld has done a lot. It's amazing. It's early access, and it's already, as you can see here, got peak of over 1 million players here in this Twitter one. And then on top of that, they've sold 6 million copies in only 4 days of the game going live. And I think that's where a lot of this hype comes in, is that I think it's partially the Pokemon fan base is a bit riled up about this. I mean, what do you think, Xavi?
So I don't know if riled up is the right term about it here. Because, I mean, from what I've been seeing on my side, I've been seeing a lot of streamers that have basically, like, entire agencies have basically just swarmed all over Palworld here. But, and the people that are doing this are people that, yeah, they've talked about how much they've loved the Pokemon series. And they're not going into this saying, oh, there's a ripoff, oh, blah, blah. They're going into it because they like the designs, they like the gameplay, and everything about this game appeals to it here. I mean, one person I was watching earlier decided they had to last minute cancel their plans for the stream tonight because, well, they need to change it over to a Palworld stream.
and that's the funny thing, because I've been going back and forth myself on should I put Palworld on my streams and do videos on it, because when it went live, I decided to buy it. But there's a reason I decided to buy it. It wasn't I just heard about this. I knew about it 3 years ago when they made the original announcement about the game. And I was like, ooh, that sounds interesting. I like that concept. That's really cool. Now, Xavi knows this, but I'm not a Pokemon player. I don't play Pokemon. I don't watch the cartoons. I'm not into that. That's not my type of thing. What caught my interest was the fact that it was taking that little bit of an inspiration of Pokemon, that little bit of inspiration of Ark Survival, and an inspiration from art direction of Fortnite, and merged it together and took what I thought were the best parts of each. But the first thing I want to talk about is the whole entire thing dealing with AI. And I think that people got this wrong. And I'll explain it in several steps. So first off, I'm not seeing any AI generation art in this game. Second off, I think the reason people are bringing up the whole entire AI thing is because the owner and CEO of the company that made Palworld has spoken up about AI and things like that, and that they made a game called AI Art what was
Art
it?
Imposter.
Yeah, Art Imposter. Thank you. But they made a game based off of that. And I think people are running with that and thinking they're doing the same thing here. And I think that's just wrong because there's been no evidence of it. What are your thoughts, Savvy?
I mean, I'm in some communities that are fairly artist heavy. And yeah, one of the things that keeps coming up is like there's image sections. People will be posting the stuff that they find that they like and they share it around with each other. And every now and then, some of the basically professional artists, people that are like heavy in editing, I know one of them actually owns I think it's more of a translation studio, but they still deal very heavily with artists across the board there. And they call out a lot of stuff as being, oh, this is AI generated. And I don't know, it's likely because I just lack the experience on it here, but honestly, I'm not really able to tell the difference on it. So I don't know what the criteria are aside from like at this point, it's kind of just a meme of the hands being bad. But I mean, especially when you're dealing with these here, that's not really an issue. I wouldn't really be expecting hands to be a giveaway on it. So I'm not sure what tells there could be for AI art in this sort of circumstance. So it's more a case of, yeah, like you said, I have seen the post by the CEO, by the founder, going on about how they like AI generation and just talking about the benefits of it. Whether that means they use it or not, it's inconclusive. There's no real evidence one way or another that I've seen.
Yeah, and that's the thing. If you guys are going to, not you guys, not you listening, but if people are going to post things saying they're doing this, you need to show the evidence. You need to back up your statement. Otherwise, it's just hearsay. And that's why when watching this video, you'll see images pop up of what we're sort of talking about. The next thing I want to talk about moving on is the accusations of plagiarism. So a lot of people are saying, oh, well, they direct ripped the models and characters from Pokemon. Well, here's the thing. They could have done that, yes. And some people are saying, well, the only way they can do it is rip it. No, there's Blender. You can take Blender and have several angles of a picture of what you're wanting to 3D model, and you can model out almost exactly, and it can be almost a 1-for-1. Will it be exact? No, but it'll be really, really close.
And that's honestly the method that we were taught to use to basically take concept art into 3D models is, all right, get your front, get your back, get your side. If you've got the art for it, get the other ones on there, mess with the transparencies, and then just line everything up.
Yeah, and that's honestly me being the 3D modeler artist of the two of us. That's literally how I 3D model things when I'm 3D modeling things. I sketch it out, and I do a front sketch, a side sketch, and sometimes maybe even a top sketch. I throw those into Blender on planes, and I do exactly what Zavi was talking about, and I 3D model it out. Is that plagiarizing? Yes, but I'm plagiarizing myself because I drew the inspiration. If you're taking someone else's drawing and copying it exactly, then yes, you're plagiarizing. But what I want to show you guys here is a video that we have. And it's the white model is of a Pokemon model. The slightly colored model is the model of the Palworld model. And we're going to take a look at this. And as you can see here, as they're transitioning it through, you can see that there is differences in the model shapes. Even when they put them directly over each other, you see a lot of different areas of the model. So I'm going to back up here for one moment to that front view. Oh, hold on. Let me pause it a bit here. So that front view, I want to get a better angle here.
Yeah, I mean,
so right here, they have it almost 1-for-1. You can see by the outlines, these shapes are different. The ears on their model is bigger than the ears on the Pokemon. You can see that the front leg stance is wider than the Pokemon model. The paws are different here and pointed out. When you pull to the side, you can see that the tufts are different. The tails especially. the Palworld tail goes up and then down. The Pokemon one goes down and then up. You have the Pokemon one who has these little fur tufts right here and right here, and the Palworld one doesn't. The Palworld one also has, if I rotate back to the front again, they have this big front fluff on the side of the head that the Pokemon one doesn't have, that's as exaggerated. And things like that are done. Even the mauling of the fluff of on the back of the head here is completely different than the fluff on the others. So is this a ripoff of a Pokemon? No, it is not plagiarized in my eyes, is inspirations. What are your thoughts, Savvy?
Yeah, there's some stuff that if you're putting them side by side, this clearly references this over here. But part of that is it's a wolf. And they're doing this in a similar sort of style on here. So if you're doing an anime wolf in a cutesy style in a 3D environment like this, these are the patterns that you're going to see. And yeah, they both follow the patterns because, they're both a wolf. But again, when you go in, look at the specifics, similar face shape. But again, if you have a different type of face shape, then you're not making a wolf. But it's different size, some slightly different proportions on it there.
Exactly.
The details with the fur spikes. Like, I know when you first told me about this before I actually saw it, it's like, okay, so tail, that would be an easy one to rip off if someone was going to do it. It's just, all right, disconnect the verts, rotate 180, and now you've got a different arc. But looking at this, even if you did that here, these are completely different tails. They both bring on the same idea, but they do it each in their own way.
Yeah, and if we're going to talk about plagiarizing in that format, look at all these racing games that have the sports cars and the muscle cars and things like that. They're modeling off of something that's iconic. Everyone knows what Camaro looks like. Everyone knows what Porsche looks like. Everyone knows what a Mustang looks like. And things like that. So these different games like Gran Turismo and The Crew and stuff like that have these realistic cars in them, are they plagiarizing? No, they're putting in the actual thing and making it look like what it's supposed to look like. Now, it's a lot harder with a car to make it look their own, but this wolf directly shows that this is not plagiarizing. And the other thing I want to show you guys is I decided to actually pull up here Webster's definition of plagiarizing. It is taking someone else's stuff and passing it off as your own. Now, inspiration, on the other hand, is being influenced by what someone else has done. And so this is definitely inspiration. This is not plagiarism in my eyes. Do you agree with that, Savvy?
Yeah, I mean, it's, again, like plagiarism would be, all right, let's take the asset, or let's just do a straight trace over and then call it our own. In this case here, there are plenty of differences. It does look like it was built on its own. And as far as like the crediting of things goes on there, now this I will admit I have not seen directly. This part is hearsay for me. But I have seen that, or I have heard that the owner, basically the entire, everyone who's behind the game here, made it because they love Pokemon. It is a direct inspiration for them. So, seeing as they are actually deliberately saying, yes, you're going to see stuff that feels like it's from here, that's by design.
Yeah, exactly. And, look at this mesh model here that they have where they actually show the wireframing. This literally shows you that the wireframing is different for the two. You get a direct comparison of the difference. And so this 100% shows they did not just rip or copy. They made their own models. Another thing I want to talk about is the worry about Nintendo taking any action. Honestly, in my mind, I do not see Nintendo taking any action. Reason being is they had 3 years to take action when Palworld was announced 3 years ago in 2021. They didn't take action, and Nintendo is very tight on taking action. I mean, they made an independent developer that literally ripped Mario assets off and made a Flappy Bird type game using Nintendo's art assets and was making hundreds of thousands of dollars and gave him a cease and desist order. And that's a small independent developer. Yes, this is a small independent developer crew doing this, but if you look here, there's an IGN article where a modder who literally took Pokemon, we're talking Ash, Pikachu and all that, and put it into Palworld. Well, Nintendo went after them and said, hey, nope, this goes away now. This is our intellectual property. And that's because Nintendo has trademarks on things like Ash, on Pikachu and stuff like that. So they have the rights to back that up. Whereas they can't go after Palworld because they didn't directly rip off the look. It looks similar, yes, but is not a direct ripoff of the Pokemons. And so I'm okay with that because I get inspired by things and I want to create things that look somewhat like that. I mean, anyone who did hand-painted textures that somewhat looked like Blizzard's hand-painted textures, Blizzard would be suing them left and right, and you don't see that happening, and I like doing hand-painted textures. Now, as far as the feel for Fortnite, well, here's the thing. With Fortnite, depends on what direction you're going for. If you're talking about the art style and animations, inspiration again. Just like how the UI and the feel of the game has that arc evolve. Okay, so with that being said, the CEO himself actually stated, I'm making games that are fun to play, that are on trendy things. And he chose to do sort of an arc evolved Fortnite and Pokemon blend up. Are those trends? In my eyes, those aren't trends. Those are evergreen now. They've been around so long. It didn't go up and then go back down. It went up, stayed, and might have dropped a bit and then gone back up, dropped a bit, gone back up, and things like that. What are your thoughts on that, Zabby?
Yeah, I mean, I think those could be considered fairly well institutions at this point on here. I mean, they are all very solid examples of their type of gameplay. Yes, there are others that are similar, but if someone's going to ask, okay, what are key games in this genre? Those are going to be in like the top 3, if not top 5.
Exactly. Now, also speaking on that same thing, a lot of people are bringing up about how they got several other games in early access. They got Craftopia, they got that AI game and things like that that are in early access, and now they have this one and a fourth one that they're working on. I personally don't see this as a problem because of what the CEO stated. They stated that they are trying to find games that will hit audiences big, and they're trying a bunch of different stuff. If that's the direction that the CEO wants to go and they're being public about it, I see no problem with it because they're not hiding their intentions. What are your thoughts on that, Zabby?
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of a scattershot approach to doing game development on there. if you've got the manpower to run all these simultaneously, then I mean, by all means, it just improves your odds of hitting a success, which, I mean, clearly they've hit the bullseye over on here. But even without this, even before it on here, even if you're not even looking at the, okay, just improving odds of success, you can have the same person working on multiple games at the same time, because different games will need different people working on things all at different times. Like when you're going through doing your first draft of stuff, okay, that's when you want your concept artist. When you've entered heavy development, you don't really need the concept artist working on that anymore. You might still call them back like for consultations if something new comes up and you need something that hadn't been thought of before. Okay, yeah, you can bring them back in there. But for the most part, they're going to be sitting idle, which means either you have to let them go and and someone else might scoop them up, they might get into another long-term project, they're no longer available, or you find something for them to do.
And I fully agree with that. And here's the thing. They're not the only company that does this. Hello Games does the same thing. And I know this for a fact because while they were doing updates to No Man's Sky, they were working on Light No Fire in the background for 5 years. And so that shows that they're juggling people around. And the idea of juggling people around at a studio, especially small studios, is not a bad idea. You know why? It keeps people employed. In fact, me and Zally have talked when we, get the chance to grow and hire more people, we want to do the exact same thing. We want to start projects on and move people over as their work on one project is being done and we're ramping up on another project, because it will keep people employed and will keep good talent around. And I think people are happier when they're in a steady job work environment instead of a project by project work environment, because that need or worry, should I say, of, what am I going to do after this project is no longer in the thought. So if the CEO is doing the same thing and moving people around like that, I think that's a great idea. However, if he's basically, your work is done here, let them go, and then they start up another project and bring in another person to do what that other person was doing for this new project, I think that's a bad move. Do you agree with that, Zavi?
Yeah, I mean, when you're looking for someone to work with you on things, it's not just their skills, it's also just how well you know them, how well you work together. So if you've got like two people of roughly equivalent skills, but you've worked with one for, 3 to 5 years, and the other one you've never seen before, keep the person you've worked... I mean, unless you have a very good reason to not want the person you've worked with before around, in which case you probably wouldn't have been working for them for 3 to 5 years if you're the one in charge, then definitely stay with the known factor on it there. Yeah, it's rougher for the new people to get a foothold, but coming from the managerial side, coming from basically the health of the project side, is here's a known factor. You can work well together, you know the quality of what they can deliver, it eliminates a risk, and everything's also just smoother because they also already know here's how you operate, here's what their expectations are going to be. So even if you push them onto a different project under the same banner, they're going to slot in a whole lot easier. In addition, something else just kind of occurred to me for, moving people around between teams, even if it's not so much all right, their role on this project is over, they need to go somewhere else, burnout is a real thing. If you've been hammering away at the same stuff for months, years on end, just being able to step away from that for even just a little bit of time, just for this one asset or whatever on it there, just step away, go do something completely different, that can help cause a mental reset. I mean, some of it's been because we've had to scale back on our own projects. Some of it is just because we've needed to do it. We'll go ahead, we'll work on one thing, hit a block. All right, we can't get any further right now. It's just the motivation isn't there, the inspiration isn't there. well, here's something smaller we can poke at for a little bit. Yeah, if the side project thing gets too far out, then yes, there are problems because you do need to actually complete projects to be able to actually accomplish anything. But it's still good to have something on the side that you can just lower priority, just work at it whenever you get stuck there, just cleanse the mind out and be able to go back to the main thing and come back stronger.
Exactly. So during this whole entire time of stuff like that, they may have been jumping around from these different projects and working on stuff. And in all honesty, I have, like I said, played Palworld, and it runs smoothly. It runs nicely. Yes, there are some bugs, but hey, it's in early access, and you're only spending right now about 25, 30 US dollars. And so that's really a good general price. And the fact that we've had not too long ago, we had the game that came out that was the zombie survival game that everyone was interested in. A bunch of people bought into, and it had promised a bunch. And then, it was the day before was the name of the game. And what ended up happening with that? The gameplay was nothing like what was represented in their trailers. It was nothing like what was promised, and a bunch of refunds were given back. Whereas in Palworld, they're giving you exactly what they promised, and it runs really, really well. So overall, I'm enjoying my time personally with it, and I'm having a hard time putting it down. I know, Zavi, you have not bought it yet. My question is, after seeing all of this stuff that's been talked about in the news about it and stuff like that, and what you've seen of people playing it and me playing it, is a game, I know that there's some aspects of it that you're interested in, is it a game you're planning on picking up?
It's definitely on my short list, but it's not the game itself that is the reason I haven't picked it up. It's the fact that I have over 40 survival craft games in my Steam library alone. I've played maybe 3/4 of them, and of those, most of those have only been for like maybe a day or two. I can't actually justify adding another one onto that list right now. Though the more I'm seeing of it, the more I'm tempted to go ahead and make a justification anyway. But part of it is it would feel like a waste to get it now because of what I've already got. Part of it is it may feel like a waste to not get it. So that's actually something I'm juggling with right now.
But it is a game you're interested in.
Yeah, I mean, like on my Pokemon side, yeah, you weren't interested in it. I never really got into it past Gen 1 on it there. But it does have interesting mechanics, and honestly, everyone I've seen playing it looks like they've been having fun. That is the ultimate thing on what determines a game's success or not. Do people enjoy it?
Exactly.
6 million people seem to be.
Exactly. The graphics aren't top notch. It's the gameplay mechanics that make it fun. That's why I'm enjoying the game. So leave your comments down below of what you guys think, and I hope you all have a great day.